And we are live. What's good, Josh and man, DL Saint? Welcome, welcome to I really want to know podcast, man. I mean, I'm sure you guys are like me, and we're still just kind of processing this latest active shooter event. Um, and the last I checked, at the time of airing or whatever, he's still at large. This Robert Card guy that they're looking for. Um, I would say one of the good things that I saw when I woke up this morning was kind of following the story during the day is that the number of those who were lost has gone down. They were reporting 22 pretty much all night last night, but I woke up this morning it was 16. Now I do understand there's quite a few people who are in intensive care, like critical condition, so that number could go up again. But you just hate seeing these things, man. You hate seeing these things, and then you hear the talk. On I try not to watch too much of like CNN or Fox or whatever, MSNBC, Al Jazeera. Well, I haven't seen any Al Jazeera coverage. I haven't looked for it, but I'm sure. But the live coverage is a waste of time because they're just regurgitating stuff and they're just kind of sitting around waiting for some news to pop in. So live coverage I don't like. And then they're back into just a rotation. They keep coming back to the story. There's nothing really to report other than that they're looking for this guy. I mean, unless they're like found him by now, and I just don't know. I mean, they're looking for the guy. For the past 20 minutes, I've been sitting here like, looking for articles and loading stuff up. So if it happened past 25, 30 minutes, then I wouldn't be aware. If you guys know, put it in the chat. But there's a lot of talk out there about a lot of stuff, and we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it, man. Like, why is it America can't figure this sort of thing out, yo? Let's talk about it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Now I know, and I know this, and most of the people who rock with me know this. I was planning to talk about the whole Tyrese situation today. His Tyrese Gibson's his last name, the actor, singer, was going through a divorce, a breakup, and he has a wife that he married, had a prenup, and he's going through it right now. I was going to talk about that, but of course, there's breaking news happening. And now we have the situation where we have another person who's out there with a weapon and they're out there hurting people. So we definitely need to talk about this. I got some stuff I just wanted to run by everyone, but it's just, you get on Twitter or X, you read what people are saying on Instagram, you look at what people are doing on YouTube and talking about this. There's it's horrific when these things happen. But the first thing people go to is, man, we got to get rid of weapons. We got to get rid of firearms, right? And then you have people like, well, we just need some common sense regulations. We had to, do a better job of keeping firearms out of the hands of people who mean to do harm to others. And I can get behind that. But there's so many people like, no, there's no need to have this type of weapon. There's no need to have that type of weapon, and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a constitution that guarantees that you have a right to bear arms, right? And then it gets into the weeds from there. And we're not gonna have a Second Amendment talk, not today, but they talk about guns, they talk about magazines, they talk about the people who were lost, they talk about the families who are grieving and those who are wounded and suffering. They talk about all these things. Talk about law enforcement. They talk about the reaction. They talk about everything except for the fact that this person's crazy. That's what it boils down to. We're dealing with a crazy person. We're dealing with a person that should have been locked away for their own good and for the good of others, right? That's what we're dealing with here. That's one of many things. And no one wants to talk about that. I don't get it. I don't get it. So we have an article here that talks about this guy's background, Robert Card. Now, this is something that I've been talking about since last night. This particular event is unique in the sense that they're looking for a guy who has a lot of time on the range, who's very familiar with his particular weapon, um, allegedly has access to, lots and lots of rounds with ammunition. This is going to be a problem for law enforcement. You guys know me over here. I'm always screaming, cops need more training. They need better training. They need quality training. There needs to be some sort of standard. There should be a high washout rate for, we have these people, these citizens who want to help. They want to come out here. They want to help. They want to enforce laws. They want to help people. Okay, that's fine. I'm all in with that. That is great. But we need to hold any person that we're going to give the authority to take freedoms from others and possibly take someone's life. That should be a very, very hard to get position. That position should come with a ton of training, not just firearms, but in the law and all this other kind of stuff, right? And I'm always screaming that, like, we need police officers need to get paid more. Police officers should have to train. It should be very tough training. It should be very, very difficult to earn the badge, the shield, or whatever you want to call it that they wear. It should be very, very hard, but it's not. So when is that a problem? Well, it's a problem in situations like this when you have someone out there who is better trained and more experienced than the average law enforcement person. And now I fear for those police officers out there in those state agencies, those, special agents and marshals and whoever else is out there. I ain't gonna lie, I'm worried about them. The federal guys have way more training than the local guys, but the local guys need more training for certain, and the federal guys probably they could probably benefit from some more specialized training. This guy that they're looking for, we're looking at his military record here, right? Robert Card. You're looking at his military record. He enlisted in the United States Army Reserve and has an active military ID, which means it gives him access to any military base, according to Maine Law Enforcement Bulletin, seen by CBS News. So this stuff I'm reading is coming from CBS News. Officials previously said Card was a firearms instructor in the Army Reserve Station at Saco, Maine, but later said it was not the case. And I did hear that. They said he was a firearms instructor. I didn't tie the two together. I didn't think he was a firearms instructor for the military. I just assumed he was working at a range somewhere and he was a certified firearm instructor. So it looks like that information may not have been accurate last night. A United States Army spokesperson told CBS News on Thursday that Card enlisted in the reserves in December of 2002, and he has served as a petroleum specialist, petroleum supply specialist. He handles gas, right? He's a gas dude, right? And I don't, people look at this, right? And it's like, what? This guy just petroleum specialist. Yeah, but he's in the Army Reserve. People in the Army Reserve can get a lot of training, especially if they're full-time or whatever. They can get a lot of training. If they're one of those reservists who are full-time reservists, all they got to do is know the system, put in paperwork, and boom, they're off getting whatever class they need. This guy's a petroleum supply specialist, right? He's a gas handler. The article continues. He has no combat deployments, the spokesperson said. Card has received a number of awards for his service, including the Army Achievement Medal, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon. I have everything they mentioned there except for the reserve stuff. I wasn't in the reserve. Let's see. What was the Army Achievement Medal? Yeah, I'm noticing he doesn't have a Army Commendation Medal. That's higher than Army Achievement. I'm kind of looking there. But this guy served. And like I said, if you're just the run-of-the-mill Army recruit, your training, and I don't care if you're full-time, like regular Army, Army National Guard, Army Reserve, it doesn't matter. You train with real soldiers. Your training as that Army, that reservist, your training level will be up here. Law enforcement's training level will be somewhere down here. They just don't get the training when it with respects to firearms and stuff like that. It just seems like we rush through our cops to get them on the street, and it's just not good. And then you talk about mental health. This guy's mental health. Carter recently reported experiencing mental health issues, including hearing voices and threatening to shoot up a military base at Saco. The law enforcement bulletin said. He was also reported to have been committed to a mental institution or correction, a mental health facility for 2 weeks over this past summer, according to the bulletin. So this man definitely battling with mental health issues. Where do those issues come from? I mean, it could come from anywhere. Um, it could come from anywhere, but one of the things that we have in America, man, we have this issue with loneliness in America. We have a lot of angry, lonely, sad individuals, right? They're lonely and they're sad, and that's forcing them to become angry. And it's not just men, it's women as well. But men act out differently than women in most cases. We're not talking about that. We have this loneliness epidemic that's going on, right? No one wants to talk about that. If you're struggling with some issues, the last thing you need is to be isolated and alone. How you gonna? Those voices are only gonna get louder. You're sitting in a house by yourself 24/7. They're only gonna get louder. Forget about the lockdowns and all that. That had to been horrific on people who were struggling like that. But not being able to get out there, not knowing how to socialize with folks, not knowing how to play well with others. You get out there and you just, you want to make friends, but you can't. All that stuff. Now you're left to just deal with it. And it got to the point where the guy actually, I don't know if he reached out for help or somehow, some way, someone noticed it. It's like, all right, we got to get this guy some help. And it looks like that he was sent off to a mental health facility for 2 weeks. Say, dude maybe he turned to them and asked for help. Maybe he turned to the VA. Maybe he turned to his, chain of command. It's like, I need help. I'm hearing voices. Maybe he just said that to his friends. Did his friends take it serious? Who knows? Maybe they did. Maybe his friends were like, hey, let's get him some help. Mid-July, leaders of the United States Army Reserve 3rd Battalion told garrison staff that Card was behaving erratically. All right, so now we know where it came from. A spokesperson for the New York Army National Guard said in a statement on CBS News on Thursday. So people in his unit realized dude is having some problems. He's doing that private pile thing, kind of whispering to himself or something like that, like whatever's going on, like, hey man, something's not right. So they went and they told the chain of command. That's good. That's real good. The battalion was staying at a Camp Smith training site in Coeur d'Alene while training at the United States Military Academy. So the guy seems like he was on a training mission. They're out there doing what they do. They're out there soldiering. It's just weekend warrior time. Army Reserve, National Guard, they go 1 weekend a month and then 2 weeks out the year when they actually have to go and soldier, quote unquote soldier. They do their thing. So they're out doing their thing. They're training, and some people are noticing like, hey man, something ain't right with him. We need to do something. And out of concern for his safety, the unit requested that law enforcement be contacted. So whatever he was doing was so bad that the military people called law enforcement, civilian law enforcement, to come and get him. I'm assuming this is civilian law enforcement. Maybe it was military police. I don't know. The spokesperson, New York State Police responded. So yeah, they called the civilian police to come get this guy. New York State Police responded and transported Card to Keller Army Community Hospital at the United States Military Academy for medical evaluation. So this is the 2-week stint that he had. They put this man in an institution for 2 weeks, a facility where they can help him. Right? All this sounds good up to this point, right? I'm like, okay, got a guy, he's probably alone. He's probably lonely, doesn't have a girlfriend, probably doesn't have any regular friends. He's probably one of those dudes like, ew, the weirdo. He's probably that guy, the awkward dude. Doesn't really know how to get along with others. Right? So this guy gets with his unit. He's serving his country. He's a reservist. He goes out there. He gets to his unit. And he's out there. They're doing their thing. And members of his units like, hey man, something ain't right with this guy. Don't know what they saw or what exactly it was that he was doing, but they were so concerned about it today, they took it to their chain of command. Now, I'm here to tell you, that's not something that soldiers take lightly. You just don't want to run to your chain of command right away. Like they're gonna try to work it out. Like you're gonna have your buddies around you about your same rank or whatever. You're gonna have like the senior kind of soldiers, like the E4s, the E5s. Hey man, they're gonna try to talk to you. Hey man, what's going on? What's going on? And then based on how you interact with them, like, hey man, this ain't right. So they're gonna go get a senior NCO, platoon, maybe get like a platoon leader or something like that, or squad, well, probably like a platoon leader, depending on how this unit was structured. Go get the platoon leader, maybe the first sergeant. Yeah, it's something ain't right here. With this, we need to do something with this soldier. Something ain't right. So first sergeant sends it up to probably the CO, the commander of the company. And somehow this went all the way up the chain of command, all the way up to battalion level. So it went up high. It's like, yo, we got to do something about this. Now that must have happened pretty quick. Now that happens in, reserve units are pretty tight. They're small compared to regular army. These people, they work together for longest periods of time. So I can see that happening. We got to get this to someone who knows what to do. Of course, there's tons of paperwork. It gets up to the battalion level, and they decide to call civilian law enforcement to have this individual escorted to a mental health care facility. Yo, this is real serious in the United States Army. And, the Army Reserves, when you're activated, you're part of the Army. Brother Dino's in the building. What's good, fam? It's like, didn't get a notification for some reason. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I think I'm a little bit on the shadow ban side. I think YouTube is trying to figure out what exactly I'm trying to do with this platform, because of the red pill stuff. And there's some of the other stuff I do. I think they're kind of looking at it like, what is he doing? Hopefully by this time we got actual humans kind of monitoring what we're doing over here. And I think that'll be a good thing. And I think this shadow ban, I ain't gonna lie, people talk about shadow bans and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I can see the push in the algorithm for my content goes up and then it'll just drop off. And I've been watching some content and talking to folks and they're like, yeah, that's how it works, bro. Like you've been tagged. So we'll see how it plays off. I'm trying to how it plays out. I'm trying to get a hold of some people at YouTube, and I'm trying to get human eyes on it because right now I'm certain that it's all algorithm that's looking at what we're doing over here. Trying to get some eyes on, get some humans on there, and maybe they can give me some input because they're going to tell me, of course, we don't have a suppressing algorithm. Of course you don't. Of course we don't shadow ban. Of course you don't shadow ban. But what can I do to get my platform on track? And then they'll tell me what to do. And then hopefully they'll take the AI watchdog off of me. Hopefully. We got last good man in Jersey in the building. What's good, fam? I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, bro. I hope you can hang out for a while. I was watching your updates on YouTube, man. Spot on, bro. Brother Cribby's in the building. What's up? Does Maine have red light laws that remove firearms from mental health individuals? I don't know if Maine does. I was watching PBD podcast today. They had Anna Kasarbian. I always mess up her last name. Forgive me, love. Forgive me for messing up your name. But she was on today and they were talking about that. On the show, the answer was no, they don't. Here in Florida, yes, they do. It's kind of funny. People talk about the red states and you look at Florida. Florida has some restrictive stuff going on down here, but it makes sense. If someone calls in and says, hey, D.L. Sano's over here acting erratically, we know he has a lot of weapons in there. I don't know, man. Somebody needs to go over there and check, and check on him. And they could come over here and I'm kind of being, whatever, get away from me, whatever. And I'm walking around kicking rocks and screaming. They're going to take all my weapons. They're going to get a court order and they're going to come in here and they're going to take all my weapons. They'll give them back. I get better, but they're going to take those weapons. Those laws should be on the books, in my opinion. That's one of those common sense things like you got to have on the books, man. If someone is out and about, let's say you're at work or you're playing basketball or you're playing flag football or something and you hit your head, right? Let's say you hit your head and you get a serious concussion and, you're kind of out of it. You kind of wopsy and no one really knows what's going on. You're seeing erratic things and this and that or whatever, but you have a legit injury. They'll come take your weapons. We're going to hold these weapons for you. We're just going to hold these weapons over here and just until you get back on your feet good. That should be the law. So I don't know. Maybe, maybe someone can check that, but I think on Patrick Bet Davis show, I think they were saying no, they didn't have any red flag laws. But I didn't personally look into it. Last good man, Jersey. Um, if you want the algorithm to like your post a few happy pieces, okay. Yeah, I might have to, man. Post a few happy pieces if I want the algorithm to like me. I might have to do that, bro. It's definitely gonna be. It is about the content, bro. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Let me find some happy pieces. I think the air traffic control stuff might get me out of the algorithm timeout. You know what I mean. I think if I maybe do some more air traffic control stuff, that might help. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see, but it's really hard getting a human over at YouTube, man. I don't think my platform's big enough. I don't think we're there yet. I know, like Donovan Sharp or Valuetainment or any of these platforms with like hundreds of thousands of people, they can get a human. They get like someone assigned to them so they can actually pick up the phone and talk to a human. I'm nowhere near there. Nowhere near it. Dr. B is in the building. What's good, fam? So this dude is still at large. I think he is. I think he is. I'll pull up something here in a minute just to get the absolute latest, but I think he's at large. Um, and then this military thing when we were talking about when he got picked up and placed in the mental health facility for his own good, mind you. They said, "Come get this guy." The military called civilian law enforcement, said, "Hey, come get this soldier for his own good." That's major, right? That was out of concern for his safety. The unit requested that law enforcement be contacted. Right, the New York State Police responded and transported Card to Keller Military Community Hospital at the United States Military Academy for medical evaluation, and it looks like he was there for 2 weeks. So this is the part when they say he was in a facility for 2 weeks. I think this is what they're talking about. They said over the summer that would have been during his stints. Again, Army, Reserves, and National Guard, they have to do 1 weekend a month and then 2 weeks out the year. Plus, if they get activated for whatever, reservists and National Guard members do get deployed from time to time. They do get deployed to combat environments and other places. You look at his medals. So here it is. You look at his medals, right? Army Achievement Medal, you can get that for shining your boots nice, right? That's just something they give you when they're trying to give you something. If they're trying to give you something, they can pretty much give you an Army Achievement Medal for anything. The Reserve Component Medal, I think that's something you get when you finish training. And so it's the Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal. So yeah, I think that's something they get when they finish their advanced individual training, would be my guess, possibly, or something like that. Humanitarian Service Medal. That means he got deployed with his unit to go do something, probably in support of some sort of disaster or some sort of humanitarian need situation up in Maine. It was probably doing some hurricane or some flooding. Maybe they were activated and went down to New York when New York had all that flooding or something like that. So humanitarian service medal is awarded to those soldiers who participate in anything having to do with, helping out, and normally it has something to do with wildfires. I earned my humanitarian service medal for relief efforts after Hurricane Andrew back in the 90s. I don't know if some of you guys probably aren't old enough to remember Hurricane Andrew. It's a pretty bad storm. So we got deployed from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, down to Miami, Florida, and we were actually in Homestead, and we got my team. It was a 4-man team, and we were all awarded the Humanitarian Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal. Everyone gets that if you're enlisted into the United States military during the time of war, or some sort of action. Because honestly, we haven't been to war since 1941. But if some sort of deployment going on, so anyone who would have enlisted, post 9/11 all the way up till probably a year or two ago, they would get the National Defense Service Medal when they enlist. They have that on when they come out of basic training. They'll have that on along with the was National Defense and some other one. But that medal right there is almost automatic. And the Army Service Ribbon, that's it. The Army Service Ribbon, and you get Army Service Ribbon when we finished basic training. I think it was either basic training or AIT. When we finished our training, we were awarded the Army Service Medal, the Army Service Ribbon, and we were awarded National Defense Service Medal because the air war had begun during Desert Storm, so we all were authorized to get that. So when I got to airborne school, I had those two medals already. And then when I got to my unit, I picked up some more medals, Army Achievement Medal. I got humanitarian service. I got some other stuff too. Um, so yeah, because I got deployed. So I had Kuwaiti liberation. I had, I had the Iraqi at the Southwest, no South, see, yeah, Southwest Service Award or whatever. I can't remember. I have to go grab my DD 214 to see all the medals that we received. But you start racking them up, and a lot of the medals you get in the military is just because you've been in. The longer you stay in, the more medals. I think now, if I were to wear my uniform, I think I would be authorized somewhere around 15 medals from the stuff that I did when I was in the Army. I was kind of going over the medals. I was in Korea, get a medal for that. You know what I mean? Army Commendation Medal. I had the Army Achievement Medal. I had 3, 6, and yeah, I think I would have about 9 or 10. I was kind of going over it not too long ago, just kind of looking to see what medals I would have. And I was looking through like, oh, I'm authorized to wear that. Oh, I'm authorized to wear that. Like it's all sorts of stuff that that they give you. So when you see those people and they got like their whole shirt is just like full of medals, they've been in a long time. They've been in a long time, right? And Brother Dino's like, FYI, research Chuck Finney, U.S. Air Force, to multiple billionaires gave away his fortune. Great human being. I'm gonna look that up, bro. I didn't know about that. Thanks, appreciate that, man. I'm gonna look into that. But so yeah, this guy was soldiering. He's in the Army Reserve. He's doing his thing. He's a petroleum specialist. Like he's a gas handler. He's doing his thing. He goes on, his active duty stint for 2 weeks, and he's acting weird, right? His unit, guys in his unit, women in his unit, is like, hey man, something ain't right with dude. They run it all the way up the chain of command. It gets to battalion level. They call the police. They have the police come take him to a mental health care facility for his own good. Right? You're messing around with petroleums, right? You're messing around with all kinds of fuels, and you literally make a spark, and you don't do something right, man. You could blow yourself up and get all burned up, man. You can hurt yourself, hurt others. That makes sense. So local law enforcement comes to a military installation to transport this guy and put him somewhere safe, and that's what they did. And it looks like he had 2 weeks. It continues. It said in mid-July, leaders of the United States Army Reserve 3rd Battalion told Garrison staff that Card was okay. We already read all that. He was acting erratically at the training site out of concerns for his own safety. They had the police take him. All right. So what happened in Lewiston? So here we go. What happened at Lewiston? Well, the shots began before 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. Maine Public Safety Commissioner said that in the news conference, authorities said that they responded to this bar and grill at a local restaurant and Spare Time Recreation, which is a bowling alley, which are about 10 minutes by car from each other. Authorities said Thursday that 7 people were lost at the bowling alley, 1 woman, 6 men, and 8 people, all of whom were men, were lost at the bar and grill, with 7 found inside the restaurant and 1 outside. All of them died from apparent gunshot wounds. And that's Colonel William Ross with the Maine State Police. So at around 7 o'clock, he decided to do what he was going to do. So he goes into the restaurant and he engages and he deletes 7 people. Oh, that's at the bowling alley. So let me say, I want to read that again to make sure. So he goes in to the bowling alley, which were 10. They were so okay. And I'm looking at this, guys. I'm just trying to again see the damage that he did. So with 7 people that were lost at the bowling alley, 1 woman and 6 men, and 8 people, all of whom were men, were at the bar and grill. Okay. So he got 8 men at the bar and grill, some inside, some outside. Then he went to the bowling alley, and he deleted 1 woman and 6 men. That's crazy. That's crazy. So he went to the bar and grill first, and then to the bowling alley, 10 minutes apart. Man, and I think the reports are saying that law enforcement were there on scene within 8 minutes. That's a really good response time. Again, this is a small community, and these people are really going to be hurting from this. These small communities, man, they're not used to this type of hyper violence, bro. They're just not used to it. So, the big cities, especially if you're in the hood or the trailer parks or whatever, the lower classes, the bad neighborhoods, you're used to hyper violence, and it comes in many forms. Mostly you see people getting beat up. You see people getting jumped, hit with bats and stuff like that. You see stabbings, you see shootings. But when you live in a nice, quiet community somewhere, especially in some rural area, like up in Maine, you're not used to that. You're not used to it. So I'm pretty sure those poor people who were sitting in the restaurant, dude comes in and starts popping. They just, their instinct is just like, what's that? They might even stand up and look around. You do that same thing in the inner city and you start popping, people get down. They already know what time it is. People outside see you coming. They hear that pop, they know what it is. So, and I just feel so bad for those folks because they had no idea what was about to hit them. So he does that at the restaurant, and he goes to the bowling alley. It's the same thing. Bowling alley and restaurant, 10-minute drive apart from each other. So they're definitely far enough apart. You're not going to hear anything or know anything. Um, he gets there, the same thing. He just probably shows up, walks in, starts engaging. And that's where those pictures are from. I believe those first still pictures that we were seeing on the news last night was from the bowling alley, because you can see like little pins and stuff like that and bowling balls. And the sad thing about that bowling alley, they said there were kids there. There was some sort of bowling league going on at that time. That's just crazy. And then Ross said 3 more people succumbed to their injuries while being transported to the hospital. We see these things, man. It just, we cannot and we will not rest in this endeavor. And that's from the governor, Janet Mills. You know, she's been in touch with the President Joe Biden, of course, with all this, and Vice President Kamala Harris, and all the rest of the elected officials. The police chief in Lisbon, Maine, near Lewiston, also urged the public Thursday morning to report anything that might seem suspicious in their neighborhoods. And like, you see this picture right here, I just want to make one quick comment. Like, when I see law enforcement, right, and they have the weapons, and people look at you look at that like, man, look at that, bro. Man, they got some gear, man. Everything is sighted up. They got beams, they got lasers on these weapons and all that kind of stuff. And then, I look at the weapon, I look at the gear, I look at how these people are standing. I'm looking at their, what we would call their military bearing, looking at the hats and all that. Man, I don't think these dudes, I don't think these two dudes are ready for the type of pain that this guy can bring. I'm willing to bet anything that they do not have a lot of training with those weapons. I remember I had a neighbor in LA, LAPD. He was young LAPD guy, just got through there. Right. We were living in the same building. I was just seeing him when he was going through his training. He finally graduated, became an officer, then he was on the streets, and then, he was learning the ropes or whatever. Watched that, and then I'm just kind of watching him progress. And he got to the point where he can work on his own, and then he got to the point where he was like training other officers, right? And one night he came, we had something going on, at the apartment. And he shows up and he's like, "Hey man, are you familiar with M16s? They say that you were in the Army." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was in the Army. I'm familiar. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that weapon." So he was like, "Yeah, man." He showed me they issued him an M16 AR style, rifle. They issued it to him. And he was like, "Man, I think there's something wrong with this thing," right? So he hands me the weapon, and I get it. First thing I do, I just break it all the way down, because I told him, he was like, "Well, I think there's something wrong with the weapon." I'm like, "Well, just do a functions check." I'm like, "It was just just do a functions check. At least you'll know if the thing is, serviceable right now." And he kind of looked at me and he's like, He's like, what's a functions check? I'm like, "Functions check, that's what you do to make sure that the weapon works without having to break it down. Like, if you don't want to do that, we could just kind of break it down, have a look at the bolt, make sure everything that the bolt's fine." And bro, he's looking at me completely like I was speaking in Chinese, man. I'm like, "How many times did they have you break this weapon down in training?" He was like, we never broke the weapon down in training. They gave this man a military grade weapon, but they did not teach him how to field strip the weapon. It didn't even teach him how to field strip the weapon. Didn't teach him how to function check the weapon. This is LAPD. It's like one of the largest police departments in the country, if not the largest. And it was at that moment that I realized, like, man, these cops don't have any proper training. And then I'm like, yo, man, how long? So I took the weapon. I did a quick function check. Everything checked out. I broke it down, pulled the bolt out, had to look at it, make sure it was cool. You know what I mean? I was looking for everything you got to look for. It's like all kind of little nooks and crannies. I didn't break down the trigger house or anything like that. I mean, that's real advanced. I didn't do that. But, I'm looking at the weapon, put it back together, gave it to him, and I'm like, you're good to go, bro. From what I could tell, there's nothing wrong with that weapon. I mean, if you still think it's something wrong, you have to go see an armorer, right? So you should be good to go when you hit the range. And we never really spoke about it again. And I wasn't looking any funny or anything like that. I was just helping out a buddy. Like, hey, no problem, man. But the fact that he did not have that training, and this was one of the more experienced officers now, like he's training other officers, right? And some people are like, well, one has nothing to do with the other. I say they do. How can you be on the streets dealing with what you got to deal with? I mean, you got a weapon, you're going to need that weapon. So like back to this picture, I see these two guys standing here and I'm, on this picture and I'm wondering, like, can they field strip those weapons? Can they break those weapons down? Can they perform a functions check? If so, did the PD teach them how to do it, or did they learn that in the military? Or this one of their buddies who used to be a paratrooper teach them? This is what I mean about training. Like, this is what I mean. Brother Cribby, like, did you ever train at Benning? Yeah, I was at, anyone who goes to airborne school, airborne school is at Fort Benning, Georgia. So I don't think that has changed. So that's where, I was in Benning in December of 1990. Airborne school, 3 weeks, Fort Benning. Think about Fort Benning, man. They have the NCO clubs is a place called the Hidden Door. I don't know if it's still there, but back then it's just the building. It's a nightclub, like for the NCOs, right? It's a nightclub, and it's a circular building, and it's all glass. At least it was, this is back in the 90s. It was all glass, and you sit there, and if you don't know where the door is, you will spend 20 minutes trying to find a door to get in. So you just see people walking up, and we're just sitting on the inside of the club looking out. And you see people, because it's one-way glass, and they're coming, and they're like looking for the door, trying to figure out how to get in there. It's hilarious. And you just have to know how to get in. You got to know. People are like, well, how do you get in? I ain't telling you. Got to know. Go down there. If it's still down there, that's how you can tell, who the cherries are, who the rookies are, who the FNGs are, right? You see them coming. They can't find that door. I mean, it's just one of those things. Brother Dino, it's like DL. I would say his main target was at the bowling alley. It all seems very well planned. Could be the female victim. Could be. Like, I guess we'll find out eventually what set him off or what's going on with that. But I mean, it could be. I mean, I'm pretty sure they got people speculating, trying to figure it out. Like, well, he went to the restaurant looking for someone. They weren't there, right? He did what he did at the restaurant. Then he heads over to the bowling alley. There they are. Engages them plus anyone else just standing around or whatever, and then gets out of there. They're saying there's up to 50 people injured and or wounded during all this. And that makes sense to me. You got somebody come in at 7:00 in the evening. I don't even think the sun was all the way down. It could have been, I don't know. But you got someone coming into a public area like that, something like a bowling alley or a restaurant, and they start popping. Right? It takes a few moments for people to realize what's going on. But then once they do, you want to talk about stampedes, bro. Once they realize what's going on, man, it's stampeding. It's crazy. Complete chaos. People screaming, people getting knocked down, ran over, trampled, people running into stuff, glass breaking, all sorts of stuff. So, like, who knows? That may have been the case. But yeah, whenever I see law enforcement with high-tech weaponry, man, I'm like, how are they trained? That should never be a question. If you see someone, law enforcement, I don't care what level, local level, all the way up to the fed level, you see them with weapons like that, you shouldn't wonder if they know what they're doing. That should not be a question. Then you see all this extra stuff. I would never have that much gear on my weapon, ever. maybe a beam because the SF guys, they're like, bro, you want to put a beam on there? They do it. That's how they got me to do it. And SF guys was like, bro, I do it. And I know you've never been on any kind of missions like I've been on. I'm like, oh, you got a point there. He's like, so if the most elite soldiers in the army, have laser beams on their weapons, like I want a laser beam on mine. But all that other stuff they have on there, man, that thing would be so heavy to carry, especially if you're going through the woods or whatever, man. Those wait a minute vines be clinging to everything, man. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. Even in the stock of this weapon, looks like it has a slot there to hold a magazine. I wouldn't want that there. But I don't know. State police said a vehicle of interest was covered by the police in Lisbon. The vehicle matched the description of a vehicle that Card was known to have been driving following the shooting. A 2013 white Subaru Outback with a black bumper, which appeared in the law enforcement bulletin. According to the law enforcement bulletin, Card has two other vehicles registered to him: a 2022 Yamaha motorcycle and a 2019 Sea-Doo green boat. Both are registered in Maine. That's concerning to me. You got a motorcycle and you got a Sea-Doo. You got a green, like a boat. You got a watercraft in a place like Maine with all those water inlets and stuff like that. If he did plan this thing out and he's worried about getting away, he certainly had the vehicles to do that. So you got your SUV. You take your SUV to where your motorcycle is parked. You take that motorcycle and go to wherever you parked your boat. You get into that boat and you're on the coast in no time. Or you stay in your vehicle and just drive. I mean, they've been looking for him since last night around, since yesterday, 7, 8 o'clock p.m. Dude could be in Florida or damn near to Florida by now if he just got on I-95 and just drove south. Man, that is, if he did plan this stuff out, man, that's scary right there. The car was found in Lisbon near a boat launch. See, there you go. And that's on the Androscoggin River, which flows into the Kennebec River. Authorities said Thursday. CBS News learns that the U.S. Coast Guard crew out of Booth Harbor have been searching waterways for the suspect's boat, focusing on the northern shore of the river. One of the areas law enforcement is probing in their manhunt. Dude might not even be in the state. I mean, you got to do what you got to do as law enforcement. You got to be methodical in your search. You just got to do it. You can't overlook anything. But this guy might not be in the state. It's great that you got the Coast Guard involved, but when did they get on board? Like, when it's, and I'm pretty sure they got people who know this. I'm certain they're not going to be putting out information as to how they are tracking this dude. They're not going to, hey, news media, we're doing this. XYZ, we're doing it like this, 1, 2, 3. And I got sitting there watching the news like, oh, that's what they're doing. Oh, they're looking over there. Well, let me move over here. So, I mean, it's crazy. No sightings of Card has been reported since Wednesday night, authorities say. With this man. So, Brother Mandrell's in the building. What's good, fam? I see you. We're sitting here trying to figure out what's going on, man. Like, not figure out what's going on, but we're just kind of talking about what's going on with this dude. And I appreciate Mandrell came in with both his handle and the big picture, man. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. So people are talk about, the gun problem, right? The quote unquote gun problem in America. We got this problem with firearms, and, we understand the Constitution, but the founding fathers didn't anticipate weaponry being to the type of weaponry that we have today. They didn't know that technology was going to do this. And when I hear that argument, I was like, yes, they did. They understood firearms. They want state of the art. The whole point of having a militia is just an instant army. So yeah, they want you to have the most, technically sound weapon is available. They want you to have the most up to date firearm, right? That's what I would argue. But the fact is, they wrote what they wrote, and we live by the Constitution in this country. So people who believe that we could just snatch all the guns up, it's just crazy. There are more firearms in this country than there are people. There's no way you can get them all. If you outlaw firearms, whatever type of firearm, all you're doing is making more criminals. There are Americans that are not going to give up their firearm. It doesn't matter. And I don't know a single person in law enforcement who wants to go door to door trying to collect people's guns. Like that's not going to happen. And I wish people would just leave that part alone. Now we can talk about common sense regulations and reform. I have no problem with if I sell a weapon outside of a gun store to go down and register that weapon, like I do my car. If I buy a car, sell a car, you got to do all that paperwork. You got to handle that. You got to get a license to transfer the numbers and all. I got no problem doing that. I got no problem mandating that people have insurance and certain types of insurance for certain types of weapons. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people having to qualify with their weapon. I would love to see that once a year. I would love to see once a quarter, but at least once a year for every weapon that you have, you got to go qualify. Go down there, and the qualification can be just real simple. Go down there, load your weapon, fire. That's it. And you're done, right? Because that also doubles his proficiency. These guys out here walking around with these high tech weapons on their hip, well, not even on their hip, in their pocket, because they won't even get a holster, and they never even fired the weapon. So I mean, I would love to see that kind of thing. Like I said, insurance, I have no problem with that. I mean, there's some common law stuff, like if you want, even in America today, if you want to get yourself like a 30 caliber 19 a Browning 30 caliber machine, or even one of those old water cooled 30 cals, you can get one. You just have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to get it. You have to go and fill out a lot of paperwork and do a lot of stuff to get it. But when we have these horrific events that occur and people are lost, people are deleted, people are, they lose their lives behind this. I get it. It's terrible. It's terrible. The first thing they do is they start talking about, we got to do something. The numbers are just too staggering. We're losing too many people to active shooters. They'll just say just that column. Well, I went to the CDC website. Right. So I went to the CDC website. I wanted to see some stats. And, if you go to CDC and you go to FastStats, they have these stats here, right, that we're going to have a look at. So mortality here, right? They have all injury deaths, right? So they talk about different stuff, right? They talk about poisoning. They talk about motor vehicle traffic deaths, like the number of deaths from motor vehicles, 45,404. And that's, death per 100,000 population. That's 13.7 people are lost in car accidents and vehicle related crashes or whatever. Number of vehicle traffic deaths as 13.7 per 100,000 people. The total number for this particular year was 45,404. That's how many people were lost. Then right under, they have firearms, right? All firearm deaths. We're not talking about like active shooter. We're not talking about deletion by firearms. We're not talking about accidents. All firearm deaths. The number of deaths, 48,830. Remember, cars, 45,404. Firearms, all firearms. We're talking about just active shooters, 48,830. Right? So that's 14.7 deaths per 100,000 people. And motor vehicles is 13.7 per 100,000 people. So there's no outcry to get rid of cars. There's no outcry to regulate cars any further. Yet, the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, we lose basically the same amount of people to automobile deaths, traffic deaths, than we do from firearm death. All firearms. We're not just talking about active shooter events. We're talking about all of it, accidental, the deletion by firearm and the active shooter stuff. And this also includes like the game bang and stuff like that. People just going out popping at each other. All that is thrown in there. And it's pretty much the same. Brother Grio's in the building. What's good, man? Shout out to you, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate everything you do, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I enjoy watching you grow. If anybody needs a photographer and you're in the Texas area or maybe you come down here to Florida, that's the man you want to holler at right there, Grio's Vision. He takes care of it. Video, right? Takes care of steals. That young brother's out there getting it. Brother Pitney Jules in the building. What's good, man? So keep in mind that firearm deaths includes legitimate self-defense and officer-involved shoots. Facts, all that, all of it, all of it's in there. The deletions, the popping at each other, the gang banging stuff, the accidental stuff, you know what I mean? The active shooter stuff, all of it, all of that's in there. You know, it's just so sensational, and it is what it is. And there it is. Self-deletion is included as well, roughly 60% plus. Exactly. All that's in there. All that's in there. And it's roughly the same as jumping in our cars and go driving around. And especially down here in Florida, man, I don't know if you guys ever been down here to Central Florida, man. These people down here can't drive. And the further south you go, the worse it is. I'm sorry. It's pretty much the whole state. These people down here can't drive. I've seen some of the wildest stuff on the freeways and streets and the highways and byways down here in Florida. People don't hesitate on the major interstates to stop their car and back up, bro. I just never occurred to me to do something like that. It just never occurred to me. Like, oh, you want me to stop and then back up? Like, well, I'm in the breakdown lane. How about we just go to the next exit, get off, and then get right back on going the other way? I've never seen so many cars flipped over on their top in my life. It happens so often, man. I tell jokes about it on stage, man. I get pretty good laughs from it. Right? I tell jokes about it. It happens so often. It's so familiar to people. Folks down here can't drive, but there is no push to get rid of cars or to further regulate cars or to mandate stuff with cars. You know what I mean? And that's my thing. It's like, well, I get it. A lot of people in America don't like firearms, and I get that. I get it. But there's a lot of people in America who don't like cars. There are people in America who be like, you know what? We should mandate that we get rid of all cars and make people Uber. And then we'll just regulate the Uber drivers and make sure that they're the best drivers in the world. But the only people who could drive is Uber. And then when AI takes over and start driving, no one will be allowed to drive. There's people out there who be like, yeah, we should do that and use the same numbers. You know, people, it's the emotion. It's the emotion, bro. People, I mean, and I get it. You know, you see people getting hurt. You see, you know, women, children, and men out here, you know, innocent people just getting slaughtered. I get it. I get it. But that's not the answer. Motor vehicle traffic deaths, bro. 45,404. All firearm deaths. 48,830. What are we talking about? The reason we don't have any reform, the reason we're not getting anywhere is because the Democrats and Republicans refuse to work together. That's it. They refuse to work together. They refuse to sit down and say, hey, man, look, we got to work this thing out. We got to work this thing out. Could be like Atlanta's worse than Florida. Bro, I don't know. Atlanta has traffic now, but I'm telling you, bro, I ain't seen the kind of accidents, bro. And if it is, man, I feel sorry for you, player, because it's bad down here. I was in LA. I thought LA was bad. At least people in LA know how to drive in LA. It's the way you drive in LA. Out here in Florida, it don't make no sense. People have no idea what a red sign means. No idea. They can care less about the markings on the street. They just gonna drive where they want to drive, bro. Their lane, your lane, both lanes, they don't care. I know Atlanta ain't that bad. I was in Atlanta not too long ago. It ain't that bad. Not down here, boy. It's crazy. But yeah, the Republicans and the Democrats, they refuse to work together. They refuse to do their jobs. They're elected to go to handle the people's business, and they won't do it. They refuse to do it. Well, I got to have every single bit over here that we want, or we ain't going to do nothing. We got to have every single bit of what we want, or we ain't going to do nothing. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. You can just look at Florida, you know, with the red flag thing, with the fact that Florida actually comes in, one of the reddest states in the union will actually come and take your guns from your house. They don't do that in California. They don't do that in California. You can be as nutty as a nutcake. They're not coming to take your guns, but in Florida they will. They give them back, but I'm just saying, Florida will actually come to the police, the sheriff, whatever, they will come and take your guns if you're not all the way there mentally. They'll come do it. So like we were reading a story about the police having to come get Robert Card as a soldier and take him to the mental facility down here in Florida. Yo, they'd have notified the, whatever jurisdiction that he's from. And they were like, oh, word. They went in the house and took his weapons. Like, bro, we'll get him back to you in a few weeks or whatever. When you get better, they would have taken his weapons had he been home. And it was crazy. That's right, bro. Yeah, we'll need F1 drivers like Lewis and Leclerc. Yeah, bro. Get disqualified and Logan Sargent, USA, gets his first point. I haven't watched that race, man. I'm gonna watch it tonight or tomorrow. I didn't watch it, and I think, are they in Vegas this week? They go from Texas straight to Vegas, because it'll be the first time they've ever run the Grand Prix in Vegas. But yeah, man, I can't wait till next year. But we'll talk about F1 later. I'm gonna do a show on F1. I can't wait till next year. Rumor has it that Mercedes has finally figured out the car. They got it figured out. So next year is supposed to be the year, bro. The Red Bull is gonna have some real competition. So we'll see. But that's funny. It seems like if you don't have AI drive your car, you got to have an F1 driver. We got to get Alex Albon down here to drive to drive around people's Ubers. But yeah, man, the firearms thing, bro. We won't work together, bro. We will not work together, and that's the problem. And another thing too, it seems to me that American politicians, man, the American public in general can't work on two things at once. They just can't do it. Some crazy person gets a gun and shoots a whole bunch of people. Man, that's horrific. But that's all we want to think about now. We only want to talk about guns now, right? Forget the war in Israel. Forget the war in Ukraine. Forget China trying to make moves on Taiwan. Forget what's going on with commercial real estate. Forget what's going on with Wall Street, right? Forget what's going on with healthcare. Forget what's going on with mental health care. Forget what's going on with all the indictments. We got not just the former president, but we got all kind of politicians and judges. They're being, looked at, scrutinized, including the sitting president and his son, right? Forget about all that. We got to focus on this. That's not how you get stuff done, bro. You got to do more than one thing at a time. It's more than one thing at a time. Yes, we could do something about the gun laws, but we also need to make sure that people who need the help are getting the help. And there's a lot of people who need the help. There's a lot of people out there, man, who are just losing it. Just losing it. We know that we have a serious problem with lonely, sexless men in America. We have a serious problem, and we know this. Maybe not everybody is up on it, but there are people out there with, very successful people, very, very smart people, academics who are like, yo, man, this is a problem. Mainstream media knows about it. Dr. Scott Galaway has been talking about this for a minute. He's been talking about this. Right. So I want to check out this video. This is from Diary of a CEO. Shout out to them. Big time YouTuber. He had Dr. Scott Galaway there. And I want you guys to listen to what Dr. Scott Galaway has to say about lonely men and what's going on with that. Check this out.
Programs and have such a lack of socialization now. The number of high school teenagers that sees their friends every day has been cut in half, that we're slowly but surely sequestering from each other. And when we do that, we become less mammalia. We're mammals. We're literally, if you have dogs are happiest when they're lying on top of you. The worst thing you can do to a dog is leave it alone all day. And what we're doing to young people is they are leaving others and themselves alone all day. We're separating from each other. We're becoming less social. And there's a group of men who aren't received well at school, don't find a source of pride. Auto shop, metal shop, wood shop's gone away. They go online to date, the majority of them get rejected. If your average attractiveness in online dating, you have to swipe right 200 times to get a single coffee. If you set up 5 coffees, you'll get 1 will actually show up. 4 of the 5 will ghost you and decide later on they don't actually want to meet up. So a young man of average attractiveness in online dating has to swipe right 1,000 times. So he
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? 1,000 times just so you can meet a few women who are gonna ghost you anyway. You might sit down with one 1,000 times. Now, of course, in the red pill world, in the manosphere world, over in the mano swamp, guys preach this. They understand how hard it is, and they understand that things are getting worse. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, bro. When you look at these things, it's like, well, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to talk about it. We're supposed to take this data and go out here and figure something out. It could be something as simple as just setting up some mentor programs to let these young guys know that, hey, man, this is how it's supposed to go. Stay off of the online dating sites. Do this, do that. Like, again, it might be a matter of just, hey, man, why don't you go over here and talk to Uncle Saint? Yeah, bro, let me, take a shower, man. Put some deodorant on, brush your teeth, bro, comb your hair. You know what I mean? Put on a little bit of, put the smell good on. Put that on. Let's go over here to Burlington Coat Factory, man. Find you a nice little outfit for cheap. Get your outfit on. Now, come on now. Let me show you out here and go. Let me show you how to go out here and talk to women. And it's still going to be difficult, bro, but at least you get to interact with a real human and have a little fun in the process. And by that, I mean, it's fun to just sit around and talk and joke and laugh, and to be in the presence of a woman, bro. To be in the presence of women is fun. It's fun. It's not all about smashing, right? Let's continue.
He gets validation for one coffee. He gets validation that he has no worth to the other sex. He loses confidence. He starts engaging with people because he has less opportunities for random encounters where he has to develop those skills. And slowly but surely, he sequesters from society. And at some point, he just is not really savable. He just never develops those skills around friendship or romantic relationships. In the United States, 1 in 7 men doesn't have a single friend. 1 in 4 can't name a best friend. In addition, marriage has become now a luxury item. If you're in the upper quartile of income earning households, there's a 3 in 4 chance you're going to get married. If you're in the lower quartile, the lowest quartile, there's only there's a 3 in 4 chance you will never get married.
These are stats. He didn't make up these numbers, man. Very smart people have gone out there and done the research. It's not like we're in a vacuum. It's not like, oh my God, where did this Robert Card come from? He came from the legions of lonely, sexless men. And because he's lonely and he's by himself and he doesn't have anyone to talk to, he doesn't have anyone to call up, he doesn't have anyone to watch the game with, people think he's weird. So weird, in fact, that they tell their bosses and higher ups that something's wrong with this guy. And then those guys, the officers, call the police. Man, can y'all come and get this guy? We think he's going to hurt himself, and put him away somewhere where he's still lonely. It's like feeling even worse. They got me in a rubber room, right? They got me this funny vest with my hands behind my back. What's going on? They won't, you know what I'm saying? I got to eat Jell-O with my fingers because they don't trust me with utensils. I can't even wear a belt. You don't even feel like you're human anymore. Ain't gonna put you through that for 2 weeks. Okay, your 2 weeks is up with the military. Bye, boot, give you the boot. Here you go, back into the real world. And now you know you weird. It ain't just maybe I'm weird. Now it's like, nope, I got paperwork. I'm certifiable. And then people are looking like you, like, ew, stay away, ew, weirdo, someone ghosts you online. And I said, I've had enough. Snap, you grab your thing and you go do some very bad stuff, right? Pop, 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 pop. That's where that comes from. That's where that comes from. And we're doing absolutely nothing about it. There are lonely women out there too. Don't get it twisted. But generally speaking, lonely women don't go grab their weapon and go pop, 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 pop. When dudes lose it, they snap. These guys who are just completely isolated. This guy has an SUV, a motorcycle, and a boat. Think about that. He's living. Probably got his own place. Got all his stuff in there. But he can't get friends, doesn't have any friends. Right? Can't get on with women because you just don't know how. He just doesn't know how to do it. He's trying the online dating stuff. Before that, he tried the meetups. Before that, he tried the speed dating. Before that, he tried the lock and key. I guarantee you he tried all that stuff. Most people do. They try everything. You go to the bars, you go to the bowling alley and hang out and meet people, right? You go to the restaurant place that he's, he popped up. He didn't have any success. No one saw him. Women don't see him. He's in the bottom 80. He's a basement dweller. But he's a basement dweller with a high-powered rifle and a whole bunch of bullets. Eventually, it was just too much, right? Snapped. Pop go to weasel. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Last Good Man in Jersey is saying the Wheat Waffle didn't experiment on this. I think he had to swipe over 2,000 times to land one date, and he used enhanced pics. Like, bro, online dating, dating apps. Like I said, the last time I tried it was in 2020, and I just did it because I got out here, and I met, I don't know, half a dozen or so women. But each woman that I met was weird when I finally met her in person. I ain't gonna lie to you. And each woman I met was on multiple platforms. I would see them on, they're on Tinder, and then they're on Match, and then they're on whatever the other ones was. I forget. It might have been, it wasn't Plenty of Fish. Maybe it was Bumble. I don't remember, but it was the same women in the same age brackets that were on all these different ones. And I'm not counting the ones who were just trying to, funnel you to their OF accounts. I ain't even counting them. The finessers, I ain't even counting them. Talking about the women who are actually trying to meet people. And then you meet them in person. It's like, bro, sure enough, this woman is weird. But guess what? She's not starved for attention, is she? She's just as weird as this Robert Card guy. Just as weird. But she's not starved for attention. She's not starved for companionship. She could pick up her phone, text, and call and have somebody show up ASAP. Right? She's not walking around talking to herself. And if she is, there's going to be a dude sitting there, whatever. She could talk to herself. It's all good. I'm sitting here watching the game. Because every woman I met was still somewhat attractive, bro. They were all 6'7", lonely, easy kills. I ain't mess with, I ain't smashed none of them, bro. I'm like, they're just not there. I'm not messing with it because I'm not starved for that. But I mean, I don't think I sent out 2,000 swipes or anything like that, but I know it was a lot of swipes. I know it was a lot of swipes. And then I had women, it was women hitting me up like, oh, you matched with this chick. And I look at some pictures, and, it's like those funky angle pictures. I'm like, nah, as a fact, I ain't even hit her back. So if you don't have that abundance mindset, it's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard. Think about that. This dude couldn't even get on with a chubby chick, bro. He couldn't get himself he couldn't get a below average woman to come his way. Utter and complete isolation while simultaneously surrounded by people. That has to drive you crazy, bro. That has to drive you crazy. You are utterly alone, but you are surrounded by people. Bro, how does that feel? And I rarely talk about feelings, but you got to in this case. How does that feel? Pop go to weasel, that's how it feels. We may never know why he did what he did. Law enforcement's afraid of this man. As soon as they see him, they're going to light him up. And you think about that. There was a guy in California who was a LAPD police officer. He snapped, and he deleted a bunch of cops, and the cops chased him down all the way to Big Bear, and he got into a cabin. Once he was in the cabin, they burned the cabin down, bro. They didn't try to get him out. And I forget how many law enforcement officials he took out, but he took out quite a few. And then there was a guy in Texas. And let me go back to the police guy. The police guy, he wrote a manifesto. The guy was in the Navy. Even with his Navy training, he wasn't a SEAL. I think he might have been an engineer or maybe a CB or something like that. But it wasn't like he was a SEAL. You know what I mean? Like I said, engineer or maybe a CB, something like that. It was LAPD. He was like Naval Reserves or something like that. And he was an officer if I'm not mistaken. If memory serves, he was an officer in the Navy. Snapped. They were so afraid of him, man. They burned up the building he was in, that he was holed up in. And then in Texas, there was an incident some years back. Some man with a long rifle engaged and deleted a couple police officers. Huge manhunt. They tracked him down, and he was holed up in a a parking garage. I guess he had managed to barricade himself somehow in a parking garage. What did law enforcement do? They got one of those robotic drones that they use for defusing, bombs and stuff like that, bomb squad. They put an explosive device on it, drove it up there to the dude, and blew up the dude. That's how law enforcement handled it, because they were so afraid of this guy. This guy was like a Army reservist, if memory served. He was like a reservist or a National Guard guy. This happened in Texas. Law enforcement, when they track this guy down, this Robert Card, I don't see him making it. I just don't. Law enforcement, they are definitely afraid of this man, as they should be. And Brother Jack, what's good night? I see you. How was game so hard for these guys? I got so many callbacks when I was spitting my game. Yeah, man, because you one of those, one of those little cute, pretty Ricky type dudes, right? And you don't have a problem talking to women. You can relate. It's a skill set. You have the skill set. You just don't realize you have the skill set. You have the ability to walk up to just any of your body and start talking. You know what I mean? You don't have a weird twitch. You're not talking to yourself, man. You're not dressed funny. You're not looking at folks. You're not super thirsty, bro. All that comes into play. It all comes into play, man. All of it. It boils down to you're not a weirdo. So how is it so hard for them? Because they're weirdos, man. I say that with respect. It is what it is. They're weirdos. Can it change? Yeah. Yeah. For a lot of them, it could. Again, it just takes a little bit of mentor. Think about us. Think about the nights, bro. We get together and we keep each other in check, right? We sit around, we talk, we can see what's going on. We talk about things, we compare notes or whatever. If dude was a part of the New Templars, he would at least have that. And he could say, okay, I need to change a little bit. Hey, Saint, where'd you get that vest? I like that vest. I want to get a vest like that. You know what I mean? You could be like, hey, Wes, you know what I mean? How did you get your car? I'm trying to get a better car. How'd you get that system? And then we can help him. Like, all right, man, I'll show you how to get the vest. I'll take you out to get the vest. Wes will be like, yeah, man, I'll show you how to get this radio system and even help you install it. Right. So it is, like, hey, Aunt, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you do this? And how do you do that? And it's just people like, yo, we all talk to one another and we help each other, right? We're building a community, we're building a tribe. This is why it's so important. But these lonely guys don't have male companionship. Let's just forget about females for a moment. They don't have male friends. Think about that. We're talking about completely, utterly alone, yet they're surrounded by people. They don't have anybody, bro. I'm on the phone every single day talking to my people. Yo, what's up, Jay Swans? Man, he'll be on the phone all day, every day, talking, having a good time. He's just out there working. We talking while he's going between calls or whatever. Just talking crazy, man. Or sometimes we have serious talks. Sometimes we do this. Sometimes we do that. I got my cousin I could call. I got my brother I could call. I got people out in Cali I could call. I got Rook. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Rook, what's good? We could call. I'm not starved for companionship, be it male or female. In fact, there are times, don't tell anybody, keep it right here, just between us. You know what I mean? Just me, you, and the rest of the internet world. There are times when I just stay in the house and turn off the phone because I don't want to be bothered. I have to take a break from people. Imagine that. I got to take a break from people. I want to be by myself. I'll go somewhere. I'll take a staycation, man. I'll go somewhere, check in some room somewhere, man. I'm just chilling. I want a staycation somewhere. Take a break. This guy has zero human contact. Maybe he had an animal. Maybe he had a dog or a ferret or something. I don't know. But it's crazy, Brother Penny. Social media has created the middle class squeeze of the dating market. It's hard to be average. To really do well, you have to be extraordinary. And that's a fact, bro. That is a fact. You get Don DeMarco for that, bro. You know what I mean? That is a fact. And then people get frustrated. You got the black pillars and the MGTOW guys, and they get frustrated, and they're like, the black pillars, all women, ain't nothing, it's all doom and gloom. Some of the red pill raised guys, the guys, the MGTOW guys, they go off somewhere by themselves. And it's just one of those things. It's just people have different ways of dealing with it. But that's an absolute fact. Technology has made it such that, man, you got to be an extraordinary type dude. You either have to portray it somehow or you have to convey it somehow in the way you interact. You got to do something. Build up your body, be funny, have a lot of money, be able to provide experiences, have clout, have connections. You got to do something. It's not enough just to be a good guy. I'm just a good guy who likes to go to work every day and take care of my family. Man, ain't nobody trying to have that. Boring. How many times have y'all heard that? Girls be talking about boring, especially these young girls. It's crazy. It's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. They can want what they want. And as a guy, if you're on a hunt, you're going to have to modify yourself so they find you attractive. But it's a lot of work, bro. It's a lot of work. Again, I blame the whole everybody gets a trophy thing. Mama said I'm gonna be successful. Mama said I'm gonna get a baddie. Everybody gets a trophy. No, they don't, my friend. No, they don't. You want to get you a baddie, you're gonna have to work your way into the top 20%. Brother Dino was saying January 2023, Biden Harris $245 million to support the youth mental health and help the healthcare workforce meets families' mental health needs. Here in America, man, they do that stuff for the headlines, bro. Those programs don't really help. I mean, if you can get anything, it's great. We're gonna earmark $245 million, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna set up these nonprofits, and we're gonna set up these organizations. A lot of times, that money winds up in the pockets of the 1%. They'll have people on the boards of these healthcare agencies or whatever getting paid $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year to sit there on the board and shuffle around the rest of the government money. It's just the way the stuff is set up, bro. Their heart's in the right place. Right, the politicians get the headline. Well, we get the headline, but at the end of the day, are they really helping people? Maybe a couple. Maybe. Did they help Robert Card? No, sir, they did not. Right? Think back to the last 5 active shooters. Did they help any of them? No. You look at that too. You look at the last 5, or just think of or name 5 or 6 active shooters in America. What they all have in common? Guarantee you they were all lonely, sexless, invisible men. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. There was that one outlier. You had the one woman who identified as being a man. I think that's the one in Tennessee. That was, but she wasn't even successful, right? Law enforcement got her before she was able to get anyone. I think maybe it was 2. But that's too many. But Americans, American politicians and Americans in general got to take this serious, man. Like we need to bring back the crazy house, man. We need to bring back these facilities. You got to have them. Back in Cincinnati, where I was living, the place was called Longview. That's where they sent you. If you're one of those people, man, you might hurt yourself or hurt others, man. They put you in Longview. I used to walk by it a lot. It was between my house and school. It's like, yeah, that's where the crazy people are. They had the adult facility here, and then they had across the street was the kid facility. It was a little bit smaller. There's crazy kids in there, man, and a lot of people got help. But nowadays, man, they just put you on the street, bro. They treat you for a couple weeks, just like they did this Robert Card guy. They treated him for a couple weeks. Why? Because he was under military jurisdiction, really. And as soon as his 2 weeks was up, man, bye. Did they let him leave? Did they discharge him because he was better? Or did they discharge him because they had to? You see what I'm saying? If the government is serious about helping people with mental health problems, that money, that $245 million will go towards allowing these facilities to hold on to people as long as they need to keep them safe, to keep others safe, and to help them. More importantly. And to help them. The system let all these poor victims down and these grieving families, man, the system let them down. The system also let down Robert Card. Right? Weekend warrior, but he was a soldier nonetheless. He was a vet. I keep talking about him like he's post, like he's gone, but he is a vet. They let him down. You know what I mean? And Brother Dino, that was the first time that Card killed a human. Yeah, but was he killing animals? Was he doing other crazy stuff? Like, who knows what he was doing, right? But that was the first time. But again, in this particular case, man, they had him. They had him in there. We don't even know, he has his files are probably sealed. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they're probably looking at his files to see what's up. But again, did that facility want to let him go, or was that facility forced to let him go? You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Brother 90 is in the building. What's good, fam? You know what I mean? Brother Dino is like that. Biden Harris funds to increase the number of social-based mental health providers in schools. I mean, again, that's all well and fine, but it just, that type of stuff that they're doing, it doesn't really help in the way that we need. I mean, just to be quite frank. It's just our political system is just it's garbage, man. It's trash. They'll get the money and we're gonna set this or whatever. But what we need to do is go back to the way we used to do it. I thought it was Ronald Reagan who ended all of the crazy houses and all that, but apparently it started with the JFK, the Kennedy administration. I got to do some more research on it, but it looks like it started there. They were going to do a transition from the way that they did it from the mental health places, the state crazy houses, because they did have some problems, bro. Like anything that's run by the state government or the federal government has a problem. And the biggest problem was them dudes was in there and them women were in there smashing these crazy folks and doing all kind of crazy stuff, man. So they wanted to do something and they wanted to change it. And it looks like the plan that they had initiated they weren't able to fully initiate the new plan. It kind of fell off halfway through. And then it just turned into crazy people were just being released into the streets. And it's just crazy. And it is just crazy. But let's get back to the video, man. Let's check this out.
So we have a group of the most dangerous person in the world. We're producing millions of them, and that is a lonely, young, broke male. And just bridging into AI, I think the biggest danger in AI that people are worried about it becoming sentient. I don't buy any of that. Or super weapons. I think that's a problem, but we've managed through those things, bioweapons, et cetera, before. I think the biggest problem that AI presents is that big tech presents a series of low calorie, low risk entry points into what feels like a reasonable facsimile of a relationship. I think I'm making friends online. No, but you're not really experiencing friendship. I think I'm in a relationship with somebody. Well, are you really? I'm learning. No, you're not. You're gambling on Coinbase or Robinhood. And rather than endure the rejection and try and develop the skills and make the effort, and it is an effort and involves rejection of going out into the physical world and revealing yourself as someone who would like to be friends with another man, express romantic interest, take those risks. We're developing these digital analogs of life that create low entry, low risk relationships. And you think, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is, because it leads to depression. Because the reason why romantic comedies are 2 hours and not 20 minutes is that life is about the victory of taking risks, enduring rejection, and having a small business that works, about approaching someone and getting the interview, cold emailing someone and getting a coffee, and quite frankly, pursuing someone and developing the skills and deciding to put on a clean shirt and maybe shower more often and maybe hit the gym every once in a while and maybe text when you're not sure how this person feels about you, and figure out a way to interact with someone around the nuance and develop the skills around human sexuality such that you can develop a relationship. That is the victory. That's the payoff after the 2 hours. And fewer men are engaging in those risks and that victory. And I think that AI, in combination with sex bots, is going to create an industry where men start having relationships with algorithms and dolls. Supposedly,
I agree 100% with him. I think this sex bot, AI driven wave of technology that's coming is going to be absolutely horrific here in the West. Horrific. Right? You're going to have the lion's share, 80%, all the invisible dudes. Now, I ain't going to say all of them, but most of them. Why chase a woman when I can get an AI? And then when the AI gets to the point where you can barely distinguish between the sex bot and the real deal, and that's it, man. That's it. America stops having babies, really. They think the birth rate is low now. Dudes will never deal with an organic woman if they can just order their dream girl on the, mydreamgirl.com. They could just order it and Amazon will drop off your dream girl right there to your basement. And now you are that guy living in his mom's basement with a baddie. That might be the end of America. That guy ain't gonna do nothing. Or even worse, you put your tinfoil hat on for a second. The corporation that's building the best bots and they run that algorithm, they run that AI, they can have that AI tell that guy to do whatever they want that guy to do. He's in a relationship with a synthetic human that he believes is real, and he's listening and he's in love and he wants to do everything to make that synthetic human happy. And that synthetic human is like, babe, you know what would really make me happy? If you were just to vote for fill in the blank, that will make me happy. Be it a president or be it some sort of amendment, because the bot can't vote. If you were to donate to fill in the blank, that would make me so happy. If you were go and work at this corporation, that would make me happy. If you would go and buy from this store, this corporation, that would make me happy. You could, in theory, control the vast majority of the bottom 80. You can control the battery that drives the American financial system, right? Those men will go out and do whatever those synthetic bots tell them to do. Because let's face it, that group of men, they're the batteries that drive the American economy. They're the batteries that drive the American way of life. When it's time to go to war in the Middle East, those are the guys that are going. Look at Vietnam. Look at Korea. Look at World War II. Look at World War I. That's how it's done. Those are the guys. Look at Ukraine right now. Those dudes are fighting for their way of life right now, but these are the guys that are invisible. You want to put on your tinfoil hat for a moment, put that, you know what I mean? Stick that one in your bonnet. Tech could control these guys through these synthetic women that look just like the real deal. They're never really going to complain. They're always going to make you a sandwich. They're always happy to see you. You don't have to deal with any BS. You don't have to understand game. You're not worried about them taking half your stuff. You know what I mean? Dude, they're going to be, me and Jay Swans, we joke about this all the time. Like in America, man, like, bro, if you want to, you should be able to marry your iron, marry your television if you want to, marry your vacuum cleaner if you want to, right? Well, pretty soon people are going to be marrying their sex bots, right? And who's programming our algorithm to tell that man what to do? There you go. Tinfoil hat moment for it. You know what I mean? For a second. You know what I mean? And yeah, the Biden Harris, they're going to continue to make headlines with, mental health stuff, man. But right now the headlines are going to be dominated by gun control and stuff like that. Brother Dino is like, DL, from what I hear, they didn't even report Robert Carr's mental health issues, so no action taken. Absolutely, bro. Legally, they probably were not allowed to. They probably were not allowed to legally do it. He probably didn't say the magic word. Because a lot of these times they're like, well, this is confidential. We have to keep it all here, sealed file and everything, unless the patient says this. And they have to probably say it in a certain way. So it's not like, well, I think I might want to hurt someone. They have to say, no, I am going to, on this day at this time, go grab this weapon and go get this ammunition and drive to this address. And I'm going to da. Of course, I'm being silly, but it might be formed in such a way that they have to say certain key words, and he didn't say the key words, even though they know, like, man, we think this guy's about to go do it. We think this guy's about to go full blown pop, go to weasel. We should let them know We should tell a jurisdiction, can't. And keep in mind that that's a U.S. military installation. That's federal. That's military. They ain't telling you nothing. Military can't tell you what I was doing. They can't tell you what I was thinking and saying. They can't. Legally, they can't say it. So you're right, though. I mean, it's crazy. Last good man in Jersey. AI isn't that sophisticated, but it doesn't need to be. Making AI that has sex and plays video games, and that's all most guys will care about. Right, especially if it's real, if it feels real, if it looks real, man, that's it, man. They golden. They golden. They are golden, bro. It's one thing to be in love with your magic sleeve. It's quite another to be in love with technology that looks just like the most beautiful woman you ever seen in your life and smells like her and feels like her, and her hair is real and her skin is real and she sweats, and you know what I mean, when you touch her skin a certain way, it quivers and all that kind of stuff. Bro, that's completely different. That is completely different. But you're right. It doesn't have to be that sophisticated, but it will be. It will be. They're going to continue to improve. You know that as well as I do, bro. They're going to continue to improve until it's perfect. And last good man in Jersey saying that would have been a HIPAA violation. Absolutely. It absolutely would have been a HIPAA violation. They can't, because he didn't say the magic words. Going back to why the hospital didn't warn anybody. Let's listen to the last little bit of Dr. Scott here. And, you know, I forgot his name. I told y'all a whole bunch of times. So here we go.
The sex bot industry is going to be bigger than the domestic box office receipts of all movie theaters in the U.S. within 5 to 6 years. So we're going to have men having relationships with machines and dolls as opposed to other humans. And I think it creates a level of depression. I think her should be required watching for every teen male. And I think every teenager in high school should have a course as part of health on mating dynamics, where they teach especially young men that approaching a woman and expressing romantic interest while making her feel safe is a skill, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that the end game, a relationship, a partner, a romantic partner, is one of the keys to a happy life. And I think most studies bear that out. And we are sequestering, for a variety of reasons, men from the opportunities to have those relationships. And it also impacts women. But what we're seeing with women is 2 in 3 under the age of 30 have a boyfriend. Only 1 in 3 men have a girlfriend, because women are dating older. They want more economically and emotionally viable men.
On the point of sex bots,
and that is a fact. You know what I mean? Dr. Scott Galaway is spot on. Spot on. We need to do something about this. Now, what are we going to do? We can't force women to engage with men they don't want to be with. We can't do that, of course. Now, you know, for some of these dudes in the bottom 80, we can, you know, there's about 20% of those guys that want to move up. Right? You get 20% of those dudes that want to get better, because you got to want to improve. You know, you got guys like this Robert Card. He was just too far gone. They should have identified this guy has a problem. He's talking to himself. He's already, you know, expressed he wanted to hurt people. And you know, I'm sorry, we got to lock you up. We got to lock you up, put you on some meds, man, get you to calm down and keep you under our observation and under our care until we get to a point where we believe you're not going to hurt yourself or others. That costs a lot of money. And that costs way more money than the $245 million or whatever they're getting the headlines with. You know, we're talking about annual budgets and stuff like that. Do we have the money to do it? Can Americans do it? Yeah, we can do it. $800 billion a year we're spending on military stuff. Yeah, we can come up with the money. Now, of course, now is not a good time. We got some wars we're going to have to fight. So as soon as we get done with these wars, then we can get back to that. We can start slashing the budget and start putting money towards our most valuable resource, which is our people, which is what we should have been doing. You know, corporate America is going to have to ante up. You know, and this is why it's such a big fight with taxes, and this is why America can't get anything done. We can't pass anything because of the money. We can't pass anything because of the money. Most Americans know where the problems are. And when I'm talking about the people in politics, they know where the problems are. Gavin Newsom knows what's wrong with California. And he also knows how he hasn't done anything to fix it. In fact, the stuff he's done has hurt the country, but hurt the state, but he doesn't care because he's getting paid. He's getting paid, and he's going to move up to the next level, which is what? The White House. Joe Biden might not make it to the next election. Who will be the top Democrat if Joe Biden goes down? Newsom. Right? Are Democrats crazy about the guy? No, but he looks presidential. He's young. He's sharp. He knows that he walks the walk. He talks the talk. All right, he'll get in there because it's a popularity contest. Why is it a popularity contest? Because Americans are dumb. This is the reason why education is so important. Americans need to understand the importance of critical thinking. We need to accept it, but we don't. Right? All these young Americans coming out, man, Americans probably from age 14 to age 26, they can't find, half of them probably can't find America on a map. They can't name a continent. They're not sure what city is in what state. There's no way in hell they can find Gaza. America doesn't care about education. And I think there's some reasons behind that. It's way easier to control dumb people than it is to control people who are smart enough to critically think their way out of issues. Point blank, period. It's way easier to control dumb people. And y'all know this. You can tell it, man, you can fool a dumb person, and it just ain't even fair. It just ain't even fair. Like, we got these sexless, lonely, invisible, broke men. And they are losing it. As Pop go to Weasel. And they go out here and they just cause carnage and heartbreak and despair. And America knows these dudes are out here. Dr. Scott Galaway is not the only one. He's trying to ring the bell. And won't no one listen to him. Not a single person. Too busy watching some fine Latina crack her back on TikTok. And I'm referencing something I did. I covered that on this platform. It's bad Latina. I'm like, bro, if she had an OnlyFans, and I looked into it, like, she does have an OnlyFans. She's fine, but she was cracking her back like, oh my God, I mean, it's to the point where it's like, well, if y'all don't want to do anything about it, we'll just allow these dudes to pay for it. Allow these dudes to engage, with the pros. Let them pay for it and let them write it off on their taxes. Let them pay for it and get the money back. These guys go out and spend $5,000 a year, up to whatever. They spend up to $10,000 a year on professional sex workers. They should be able to write it off. If that's what it takes to keep them from going Pop, go to Weasel, then I think that's a small price to pay. Let them pay for it. At least they'll have that. Now, that's not going to be the end all because it doesn't fix the relationship issue, but at least they can get the release. I don't know. But until Republicans and Democrats are willing to sit down and work this stuff out and handle the tough stuff, we're not going to be able to get anywhere. And you mark my words, over the next few weeks, next few months, all they're going to be talking about is gun control. The closer we get to the election, the more they're going to be talking about it. The closer we get to the primaries, the closer we get to this and that. Gun control, we need to do this, common sense gun laws, and And I put, we spent $245 million on healthcare for little kids and bunnies. And you know what I mean? It's like, and we, whatever. Then it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Because another lonely, sexist, invisible guy is going to pop up with his AR, and it's going to be Pop Go to Weasel all over again. They're not taking American guns. They're not doing it. And if somehow they figured out how to do it, people still going to have their weapons. They don't know how many guns are in this country. They're not going to do it. It's like prohibition. We're going to take your alcohol. Yeah, okay. All you did was make gangsters very, very, very wealthy. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Last good man in Jersey tell you, solution, get your passport. Shit, they won't have to get passports, man, when these sex bots come online. You know what I mean? And like I said, it takes a number. You take this guy, this Robert Card guy, and you take him to the Philippines and drop him off, man, I'm telling you, bro, he might be too weird for that. Those women might stay away from him. It might have been too late for this guy. There's a lot of dudes that it's just too late for. We need those mental health facilities open. We need to be able to take these people who have these problems and put them somewhere where we can help them. And that goes for the drug addicts as well. You know, if we were to go back to the fast stats, right? Fast stats, right? Number of deaths of drug overdose slant drug poisoning deaths, right? The number of deaths is 106,699. That's 32.1 deaths per 100,000 people. Remember what it was for the cars and for the shootings? It was 14.7 and 13.7 per 100,000 people. For drugs, 32.1. 32.1. I mean, it's more than both of those other ones combined. That's crazy. And so that's the real problem. Like we can't even get into that. We need facilities where we can take care of these people, these drug addicts out here who need the help. We got crazy folks. Most of the unhoused, most of the people out there, most of the homeless, they have some sort of mental issue they're dealing with, or they're dealing with some sort of addiction. We need to go back to the old system, if just to get these people off the streets and get them safe. Or you can do it the California way and just keep suspending laws, right? They're trying to decriminalize prostitution in California. So what happened? Prostitutes are everywhere. Gavin Newsom, thanks a lot, buddy. Right? They're trying to, decriminalize the petty theft. So what happens? People are running into all of the big box stores or any store they can go into, and they're stealing up to a certain amount. We just gonna take up to $5,000, well, under $5,000 worth of stuff, because the police ain't gonna come get us. Thanks, Gavin Newsom. Right? We're gonna make it to where we're gonna invest hundreds of millions of dollars so we can get crack addicts brand new crack pipes and just hand them out to people. How's that gonna help anything? We're gonna give them clean needles. How's that gonna help anything? Like, you see what I'm saying? It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all bullshit. Meanwhile, we're just sitting around counting the days waiting for the next dude, the next invisible, lonely, friendless, sexless, mentally challenged individual to jump up with a shoulder fire weapon and go the weasel on some more unsuspecting Americans. That's what we're waiting on. Well, that's all I got, guys. I'm sorry. America, man, we have so much promise. We have so much promise, but we just can't get our shit right. Brother Dino is saying, FYI, the military sent him away for 2 weeks, mental health care, and his family reported him. Yeah, the military, we read that. The military, he was doing his assigned 2-week tour, his 2-week duty as a reservist, and it was his soldiers, his buddies were like, hey, something ain't right with dude. So for his 2 weeks, they had him in the facility. He was under military care because he was activated. He was technically military. But as soon as his 2 weeks was over, he's back to being a civilian. See ya. Wouldn't want to be. They sent him home. His family like, man, dude ain't right. We need some help. What happens? Pop go to Weasel. Pop go to Weasel. There you go. In the restaurant. Pop go to Weasel. At the bowling alley. Pop go to Weasel. He ain't invisible anymore, is he? We need to address this issue with lonely, mentally challenged, broke, sexless men and women. I don't want to forget about the women, but the women aren't going pop go to weasel like the men are. We need to address that. We need to address some common sense gun laws and some reform. Absolutely. We need to address that. Right? We need to address minimum wage. We need to address jobs. We need to address our economy. We need to prepare for this recession that they keep trying to stave off. There's a lot of things we need to do. We got the wrong people in Washington. Point blank, period. To my Republican friends, to my Trumper friends out there, we got the wrong people. Y'all got the wrong people. The Dems out there, the liberals on the other side, they got the wrong people. It's time to start weeding out the folks we need. It's getting serious. We're about to go to war in the Middle East. That ain't no joke. We just got hit some more. I guess some U.S. soldiers were injured in Syria. It's just a matter of time before they go attacking those ships in the Mediterranean. Just a matter of time. Speaking of time, we're running out of it, people. It's about to get ugly, and people looking at me like, what are you doing? Well, look, I'm an old dude. I'm retired, but hey, man, I've been a warrior all my life. The military honed my skills. They didn't give them to me. I started in the streets, man. I'm used to this. I was born into chaos. It is what it is. If it go down, I'm ready. Are you? And it's crazy, man. GMC Hammer in the building. What's good, fam? I see you, Knight. I see you, Knight. We just wrapping it up. Yeah, that's all I got to say. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks. And if you're out there, you're ninja watching, whatever, please like and subscribe, or dislike and subscribe. Please do that if you don't mind. We have the potential to take our place back on that hill and be that shiny house on that hill. We can do it as Americans. I truly believe that we can do it. We have the Americans that can make it happen. Most Americans do care about the United States of America. We want to do right. We know the difference between right and wrong. It's just we keep sending the wrong people to D.C. We know what's wrong with our political system. Got to take the dark money out. Citizens United has to be overturned. Got to take the dark money out. We can't have former speakers of the House going to D.C. and coming out of there multi-millionaires. Same thing with the Republicans, man. We got, I mean, and look, we got Nancy Pelosi ain't the only one. She's not the only Speaker of the House that got paid. She's not the only one. Yeah, and it's like you picking on Nancy. I mean, I'm picking on all of them, bro. God, how much money do you need? And y'all tripping. Like, dudes, I don't mind you taking money, but for every 50 million that you take, you should make sure that 300 million goes to the people of America via programs and via laws and via whatever. How you going to take all that money and you're going to fight the unions and stop them from trying to get just a working wage? You see what I'm saying? It's just one of those things, man. We can do better as Americans. We have to take our political system back from the 1%. And the only way to do that is campaign finance reform first, and second, term limits. Term limits. We got to do away with these professional politicians, professional senators, professional congressmen and women. We got to do away with that. We need term limits. Right? We need lawmakers that actually write the laws. You can't have lobbyists writing the laws for you, lobbyists telling you what to do. Matt Gaetz did what he did because someone told him to do it. Right? You got Democrats and Republicans out there. You know, Gavin Newsom is fiercely protecting the money that keeps him in office. You know what I mean? The electric company out there in California, was it PG&E or CG&E or something like that? He fiercely protects them. Why? Because they keep him well funded. You got to take that money out of there. What would Gavin Newsom do if the 1% and the corporations couldn't fund him like that? He'll work for the people. He'll work even harder and make sure that, you know, the average American, the average the average Californian would go ahead and donate because he's doing a good job. Our small people can't compete with that big money that comes through that Citizens United. Scam Likely's in the building. We can't compete with that. Our small money ain't nothing. You got to take that big money out. You got to take the dark money out of American politics. And once you do, people are going there to do their duty. They're going there to do their duty, and they know they have a limited amount of time to do it. Why? Term limits. If you go out there, if you know as a congressperson, you can only have 5 terms. That's it. You only get 5 terms, 10 years. That's all you get. And then you got to sit out for another 5 terms. Man, they're going to get everything they can done. They're going to get there. They're going to take care of what they need to take care of for them and their family and their constituents, for their state, right? If they're president, they go, well, we already got term limits for president, but if they know they have only a small window to get things the way they need to get things, then they're going to go up there and they're going to work hard. They're going to sit down and they're going to work across the aisle. Hey man, we can figure this out. We can do this. You know what I mean? We can get this together. We can get this federal money for this. We can go. They'll be forced to work together. And isn't that what the founding fathers wanted? But if the money is there, if the dark money is there, man, you ain't never going to see that. You ain't never going to see it. Sometimes I sit around, I think about it and I'm like, man, I should get into that hustle. That's big money, bro. Big money, man. You can make millions at the state level, hundreds of thousands of dollars at the local level. I ain't gonna lie, man, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't do it. If I take an office like that, I'm going to want to do what I went there to do, what I rose my hand and swore to do. I'm going to take care of the people who sent me there. There's just so much money, and it's just so much money in the American political system, bro. So much money. I've seen it. Look at what Clarence Thomas is doing and getting away with. Like, I've seen it. It's insane, the amount of money. Last good man in Jersey is like, the top 10 richest people in America control over $1 trillion. Can't compete with that. Facts. But you take the dark money out of politics, you overturn Citizens United, and then we combine up. We can make a run at it. But the way it works now, no way. No way we can touch that. But if we change the laws a little bit, overturn Citizens United, get some term limits in there, right? And then get ourselves a 1%er. We'll be able to put a little dent in there, be able to get a little something for the people. Right? Might be able to get some of these hospitals reopened so we can get help for those people before they go pop. Right? Get some people in there who are tired of being addicted. Get some people in there, help them get the help they need to get off the gear, man. And it's hard. It's hard breaking addictions, but man, it'd be nice if they had a place where they can try. Right? If we can make a dent. We can, maybe look at really trying to pass some sort of healthcare reform. Wouldn't that be nice to have something? Something. Well, people are going broke trying to get medicine, bro. Like the pharmaceutical industry, man, they can advertise their drugs on TV. That's legal. They can advertise the drugs that they want you to buy on TV. Ask your doctor about this. Ask your doctor about that. That's legal. How the hell is that legal? Dark money, lobbyists. Restrict the lobbyists like they used to do. Right? Restrict the lobbyists. Put politics back into the hands of the people. I don't know. There's an idea right there. I gotta go, guys. I gotta go warm up some spaghetti for my daughter. I'm having spaghetti tonight. I gotta go warm that up. And I hope y'all enjoyed this, man. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. You know what I'm saying? I really do. Tomorrow's Friday, so I won't be doing a live stream Friday, but I'll probably be doing some stuff from the car, uploading here and there. I'm gonna try to get a couple shorts in. And I'm gonna continue to break down the stuff that we have out there. So probably see you guys again on Monday. We're probably gonna talk about Tyrese. We're probably gonna talk about Tyrese Gibson, top tier 1%er. I ain't gonna call him 1%er, but a Hollywood A-lister. Got married to a woman who was making well into the 6 figures. So she was also a top earner. Signed a prenup and everything. It was all love until it wasn't. And it's going to be a good story, man. We're going to definitely talk about that, man. People are like, man, I can't believe, just get a prenup. Like, man, people keep saying, man, look, damn, Saint, you so anti-marriage. I'm not anti-marriage. I am 100% for marriage. I am 100% for people coming together. Why? Because I don't want more people like this Robert Card going pop, go to weasel. I want people to come together. But the laws that govern marriage, I wouldn't sign the contract, bro. I wouldn't sign the contract unless I was the one who didn't make the money. My woman's making all the money and she's worth maybe 3-4 times more than me. Yes, I'll sign that contract 3 or 4 times. We can, boy, how many times you can be signing this contract? We can get married tomorrow. But if I'm the one with the bread, the way the system is set up, you're going to get wrecked. If you're the one with money, if you're the one with resources, if you're the one that's bringing home the bacon, male or female, doesn't matter. You get into a situation, you wind up in the family court system, the one with the money is going to get wrecked. That's just how our system works right now. So we'll probably talk about that on Monday. We're going to talk about Tyrese. And of course, I got some other stuff I wanted to talk about. It's in my notes downstairs. So thanks for rocking out with me, fellas. I really appreciate y'all, man. I really do. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, wherever you are in America, start getting involved, man. Start looking at what's going on. I ain't talking about just the normal the political stuff, man. Hey, man, see if you can help out down at the VA. See if you can help out over there at that Goodwill. You know what I mean? If you can, if you got some extra clothes before you throw those clothes away, maybe you can hand those clothes off to someone in need who's in the street. You know what I mean? Say hello. Say what's up to that guy holding that sign, that panhandler. Listen to his story if you can. I ain't saying give him some money, but you can give him some water. You know what I mean? Give him some raisins, give him some peanuts or something. He just needs somebody to talk to, provided he's not all the way crazy. You'll make his day, bro. Trust me. They don't, sit there and talk. They just be happy to talk to you, man. Just somebody to talk to, bro. Look out for these lonely folks. And what I mean by that, if you see someone who's lonely, they might be struggling, man, just go ahead and say hi. Go ahead and say hi. You know, maybe that'll help, you know what I mean? Maybe that'll help their day. That's all I'm saying, man. Last good man in Jersey says, great show. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Good pod, brother Jack, my young nice. Yes, yes. I appreciate that, guys. I really do. We're going to keep rocking it out, man. We keep growing. We are growing, man. We're getting there, man. We're climbing up there, man. We're climbing up there. So, I got to go. It's always a pleasure fellowshipping with you brothers. It really is. And to you sisters out there that are ninja watching, I know y'all ninja watching because I'm looking at the analytics. It's a pleasure. Please do me a favor. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Hit me up in the comments. If you want to hear me talk about something, you want to hear my take on whatever, hit me up in the comments. And I ain't got no problem saying how I feel about whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going to holler at you later. I'm DL Saint. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.